Hi everyone, welcome to Decked. I'm Tyler, and with me today is my friend Ray.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Doing well.
Thanks for coming back to the show.
No problem.
As you take a swig.
As I take a swig, I should have known that question was coming, though.
So, for viewers who are unfamiliar with this format, we play games in front of the camera, and then oftentimes Ray and I will come back and record commentary to keep you guys amused while they're playing. And in this case, we're doing something a little bit different. What you see on the screen is myself on the left and our friend Rod on the right. Black Moon Games in Lebanon, New Hampshire, hosted a Call of Cthulhu tournament a couple weeks ago. So I've dragged the camera down, and we got a couple of recordings out of that, and we're going to sort of talk through what's happening here. Just to introduce what's going on, Rod is playing a deck he calls Kirby's Explorations. It's based around the new explorer, Jeremiah Kirby, from the Miskatonic faction. And it's just, it's a lot about the explorer synergies, and there's some Weenie Rush and a little bit of recursion. That Ray and I were talking about before we started recording, whether or not it actually works the way he may have played it. We're going to find out. And then on the left, I'm playing a Cthulhu Shub-Niggurath deck called Rebirth of the Cult. It was designed by Obtuse, and I've sort of been fiddling with it back and forth. And I think I threw some cards in here that never actually saw play on this particular day. So it's business as usual if you've seen any of the Rebirth of the Cult plays so far. So wait, Ray, what do you remember about Rod's deck?
I remember Rod's deck being a relatively typical explorer deck base, but with some interesting interactions thrown in around it. He didn't go for pure explorers like a lot of people do. Right.
Yeah, he had support characters in there to help the explorers out, but there's a couple of the mainstays in there like Rolled. And,
right.
I want to say Jeremiah might be the new mainstay.
Jeremiah might be the new mainstay, yes, and he actually runs a lot of investigators too, and takes advantage of the investigator subtype as well as the explorer subtype.
Yep.
In
Derby Hall.
Derby Hall, yes.
And you'll see him resourcing a chess prodigy there.
Exactly.
Chess prodigy. I think that he really enjoys that card because it monkeys with the struggles to Miskatonic's advantage.
Very much so.
And as I recall from previewing this episode, Rod elects to go first. I know that's always a point of contention because it's always hard to tell who's doing what. But yeah, he's definitely resourcing first. He wants that advantage of having weenies on the table first.
Definitely.
And you can see the Arctic Ethnologist being resourced there. Another really helpful explorer. One of the few generic explorers.
Yes. A few non-unique. Looks like he's laying down a couple support cards. I can only see one of them over there.
I bet you that's the Infirmary.
Yeah, he laid another one down on the other side. Based on what he almost resourced a second ago, I'm going to say Ipetak.
I'm going to go Ultima Thule. Okay. Just because I peeked.
Fair enough.
And that's the college prospect there, who's free to play and gives you cards when they die.
Good old college prospect.
Mm-hmm.
Nice and cheap.
Cheap for twice the price. Not true. Actually, twice zero is still zero.
This is true. It is twice the price.
I went Thunder in the East because I recognized Infirmary was going to be a problem. I just got that out of the way.
Infirmary really does become a problem if you let it go unchecked.
I got to do a double Thunderclap. I'm willing to bet the other one was Ultima Thule. Because I remember feeling very like, oh, I don't know if that's great. Oh, it's Rod and his support cards. Let's just get those out of the way.
Yeah.
And he was quick to point out he has mechanisms to get them back, whereas I have not yet demonstrated any mechanisms to get the Thunders back.
However, having, in a tournament-style setting, having support destruction is key.
Yes. Fortunately, the more factions are developing abilities to deal with it. So in that case, I threw down a Gustav, and he sacrificed his prospect just to pull more cards into hand.
Which is a good strategy, especially because he played out so many cards in the first turn, and then you ended up neutralizing every card he played in the first turn. So.
Yeah, he played 3 cards?
Yeah.
Yep.
Because he ended up sacrificing the prospect, so that was the third card.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Miskatonic's ability to refill their hand when other people are chugging along at 1 and 2 or 2 in hand is really helpful. Looks like he just resourced a Brett Wolfson.
Very well could have been. That's what it looked like to me.
And I think that's the anthropology advisor,
That would make sense.
who grants skill based on investigation icons.
Yes, additional skill based on each investigation icon. That is an anthropology advisor, yes.
Yep. Just to investigators, I believe.
Yes, investigators with investigation icons.
Right, so that's part of Rod's dual explorer investigator strategy.
Which is a good way to go, because if you focus on one strategy completely, then things that start messing around with subtypes, especially when you get to choose, can really screw with your...
Right. And the explorers aren't so nearly as plentiful as the investigators are by now.
Right.
So that's the 3 bells that I just played out, where you pay 1 and sacrifice a character to make the other person sacrifice a character. Rod's just very angry that it's shown up again.
Yes.
No, not at all.
I think he's more or less reading the card, because he didn't have the benefit of us commentating on it.
I mean, when we play on Lackey, he can just hover his mouse and read to his heart's content. But
Right.
I feel like we're all starting to get to that point in the game where we know the cards.
I feel like I'm starting to get to that point, which I'm happy about.
I mean, it's still hard for me. There are many cards I don't know by heart, but at least the ones I play with regularly, I know their function correctly.
That's Carl Stanford.
Is that Carl fucking Stanford?
I think it might be.
Oh, I wish I could tell.
There's a lot of icons down on the bottom of that from an activated ability, so I'm going with that's Carl fucking Stanford.
I think that's good reasoning. I like that. So I cleared the board by sacrificing Gustav to get rid of that explorer, the anthropology advisor.
The anthropology advisor,
not
right? Not explorer, right?
And then just threw Carl in it. So the whole point of this, or a function of this Rebirth of the Cult deck, is to apply that kind of pressure to always be removing characters.
Yes. Rod also definitely played an Ultima Thule last turn, because I can tell that's what that is up at the top of the screen.
Yep. As the saying goes, A, B, R, C, always be removing characters.
Yes.
What are we debating?
I don't know, maybe he's thinking of dropping something into play with Ultima Thule?
Maybe. Or that's true, or considering how we were playing, we might just have been chatting.
There is that.
There are a lot of interludes in these games, as I recall, because there were rules questions, or just we hit a lull for someone had a comment they wanted to share.
Rod's also a very strategic player in the fact that he will sit there and look at the board state and go over everything in his mind before he even thinks about committing to anything.
Yep.
Which is a very smart way to play.
It's paid off for him many times where I'll just sort of fudge it. That's probably enough icons. And he's counted them all.
Yeah.
And knows exactly how he's going to add some more in a second.
Yeah, or I'll be like, all right, this is what I'm going to do, and I don't pay attention to the fact that the board state's changed a little since I decided to do that. And that little change is enough. Got our college prospect coming down. And that's our chess prodigy.
Yes. The chess prodigy, the ability to turn any struggle into being based on investigation icons, very handy for the Miskatonic faction. And he's weirdly worded, and then it's just this always-on passive effect, whereas in another era of the game, they might have written it as a response or a forced response.
Right. At the very least, some sort of triggered effect.
Right. Unless that was their point at the time. At that point in time, they're like, no, it has to be passive. Can't imagine why. But
because of light glare off of sleeves, Rod has an advantage as he's just read the 2 story cards that we can barely tell what they are.
That second one was Heart of the Labyrinth. I recognize that one. That is one of the... So we're playing in Black Moon Games in Lebanon, and this particular tournament happened in their Lunar Lounge, which is a smaller play area with one long table in it, room enough for 6 or so people to gather around it. What you see here is one end of the table, and then just beyond it, further down the table, Ray and Brad are playing out their game. And
which I am not ashamed to say I am thoroughly losing, I'm sure.
Yeah, we'll get to talk about your deck in the next episode, I believe.
Yes.
And your hideous playmat.
And my hideous playmat, that's right. You all get to be subjected to my hideous playmat.
This is a fairly slow-moving game.
It is.
We haven't won a story yet, but we're each there's 2 poised at 4 and another at 3. Oh, and here comes a dormant card. Dormant cards being attached to story cards, and whoever wins the card afterward wins the story. When the story is won, the player owning the dormant card may play it out for free.
Correct.
And that's one of those things where I haven't quite internalized it yet, and I'm always looking up, when do I have to pay for this and how much? Like, does it matter whose success tokens are on the card when I attach it, that sort of thing? It doesn't.
I can't remember the card you played to go get it, but you did just go get the Guardian.
It's got to be Old Lazy Eyes.
Old Lazy Eyes, thank you. I couldn't
When
remember
Old Lazy
his
Eyes
name.
enters play, you may fish a conspiracy out of your deck. He doesn't show up a lot, though he's very helpful.
Well, he's good if you don't already have... He's basically... I don't know how many copies of them there are, but he's basically, however many copies of them there are in the deck, more copies of the Guardian, because that's the only conspiracy you have in the deck.
Right. And between that and the Plague Stone, getting a Guardian out is fairly reliable.
Right.
Eventually. Some games it just doesn't show up.
And here it comes.
But here I felt it was relevant to have one on the table.
Gotta go get the... There's the Plague Stone.
Oh, right. I had it backwards.
You did have it backwards.
The Guardian gets the Plague Stone out. That's it. That's why it seems like there's always a freaking Plague Stone in my hand.
Well, that, and somehow you inevitably end up drawing the other two right after you go and fish the first one out.
Right. It's because, I think it's in part because as the deck gets thinner, they come up more often because they just keep going back in.
Right, there is that.
Gets a little boring after a while when you're wishing for something new.
And there's Savio.
Savio, the power hitter, the keystone of doing it pretty much anything.
Yeah, he's a very, very strong card.
As long as there's a conspiracy in play, Savio becomes immune. It becomes night, and Savio makes it night, and he becomes immune to non-day effects. And my characters get terror and fast.
Yes, and he's was a very strong turn for you. I mean, you played Old Lazy Eyes, got the Guardian, played the Guardian, got your Plague Stone, and then played Savio. So that was a very strong turn.
Mm-hmm. Now Rod knows that there's destruction at hand.
Not only is there destruction in hand, but he's dealing with a fast, extra-terrored Savio, a fast-terrored Lazy Eyes, and a fast-terrored Carl fucking Stanford.
Carl fucking Stanford. And of course, in Rod's favor, though, he has the Chess Prodigy, which just short-circuits the whole terror strategy against Miskatonic.
It does short-circuit the whole terror strategy.
Because my deck is just... There are no investigation icons, I believe.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I believe there are none. And he has a surfeit of them, especially once he gets Derby Hall into play.
Yes. And it looks like Rod has played out another advisor.
Yep.
And is that Cookie up there I see at the top?
I think that's Cookie. And unfortunately, Cookie and Rold's Explorer abilities are so subtly different from each other, I can't tell you which is which.
Yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head either.
I'm pretty certain Rold is when an Explorer would leave play. But Cookies might be the one where it's based on the number of cards the other player has.
You might be right. I honestly can't remember.
Might be able to tell in a second. It could come to me.
That's fine.
As I reach over here.
As I'm staring at these pictures, the only thing I can think of is I want to sing a parody of Janie's Got a Gun by Aerosmith and say Cookie's Got a Gun because...
I just want to point out that YouTube has a very excellent content filtering system when they recognize things like that and people get in trouble.
Fair enough. That's why I was trying to give credit to where credit was due.
They don't want credit, they want money.
I didn't sing any of it.
I don't want your money.
They don't get royalties for the name, they get royalties for the song.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody could mistake my singing for anything remotely close to a song.
Not at all. But I am reminded of Nick Offerman special, where a number of musical songs are cut out of the final piece, and they have little skits with a lawyer arguing with Nick about why he's not allowed to include that in his comedy special.
That's pretty funny.
It was. I wonder if they did that intentionally, or if they found out after the fact and just made it work.
I suppose also there's something to be said about parody law in this case, but we're diverging from the game a little, so...
Right. But that's the beauty of the format. We can go off on a tangent and double back to the game, which has been continuing without us.
This is true.
The game doesn't need us. And
not much has happened.
Rob and I are chatting.
Yeah.
We could be talking about Supernatural. I'm pretty certain we segued into a Supernatural discussion at one point that day. Because he was trying to explain to me why he'd been watching for the first season, and I was just like, don't get it.
Yep.
I've watched a lot of Supernatural, I'll admit it. It's just, I realized after about 3 seasons nothing was going to change. Although I understand things changed. So,
I think I've watched 2 episodes of Supernatural in my life.
I think you got the full effect.
Fair enough.
So Cookie Fredericks, after an explorer character you control enters play, and any opponent has more cards in hand than you, draw 3. Then choose and discard 2 from your hand.
Gotcha.
So he's a good way to be drawing more cards. And then Rolled is the one where, when explorer you control would leave play, draw 2 cards, or put 1 card from your discard pile into your hand, which might feed into something where that Rod's deck was working with earlier, which is recycling certain event cards from the discard pile.
Right, and Rod has committed fully to the story which you have a dormant card sitting on.
Mm-hmm.
Now, interesting to note, as dormant is a Cthulhu faction only ability, and most of the dormant cards have some amount of steadfast. You are only sitting on 2 Cthulhu resources.
So this might be a misplay on my part, because I'm pretty certain he's going to take the story and I will have played the card. Okay, I do see the third now. Very good. For a second there, I could only see 1 green card. Such deliberation. Or is this the part where I smartened up and actually started counting what I had resourced?
It could be. You're also looking at fast and everything, but I'm presuming that with the chess master out, or chess prodigy, excuse me, he is choosing terror to go away, or terror to be counted with investigation.
Maybe.
Although with all of your guys having terror icons, it just creates a bounce because nobody
Right.
can go insane.
Mm-hmm.
Unless he feels that he could sacrifice somebody to insanity and instead chooses combat, so that you're forced to wound one of your characters and kill them.
Mm-hmm. So long ago now.
I know. I'm wondering if you just let him win that just based on what everybody just did.
I think that's what's going to happen. I think he's winning the story and I'm about to misplay the card. But I'm deliberating it.
Deliberating. Dun, 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 dun.
Oh. Maybe this is still legal play.
Dun.
Dun.
Do, do, do.
Such hand.
Okay, so he won the story. That's a definite at this point in time.
Oh, no, I'm deliberating the timing. I know what this card is now. I think it's from the depths.
Gotcha. Oh, you're deliberating the timing whether the dormant card goes off first or the story effect goes off first.
Right.
Okay.
Because that is the one where Heart of the Labyrinth is the one where you each name a card type and that card type goes away on the other player's side.
Right. So if he names support, then...
Right. Like, I always thought that Rod would clearly be targeting my support because the 3 bells is aggressive.
Right, but if you have so many cards, I mean, he's got 4 characters out there, one of whom he doesn't care if it dies. 3 bells wouldn't be too horrible.
And I've used it up, but it's about to refresh. Or rather, I've used it in my domains, I should say.
Right. So that looks like, what's her name?
Oh. Nope, it's not from the depths.
Fiona?
Yeah, and she's steadfast 3. That was wrong. My mistake. Sorry, Rod.
This is why we do these, Rod, so we know when the other person screws up.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like he used an arcane struggle win to straighten his chess prodigy. Is she really steadfast 3? Wow.
She is. I just checked.
I believe you.
No, yeah. I'm also surprised. For some reason, I thought From the Depths was in this deck. But now I must be thinking of the all-green deck that I have used from time to time. Which would make sense.
Yes. Wait, which one's From the Depths do again?
Reveal the top 5 cards, put all the characters into play.
That is definitely in your all-green Cthulhu deck.
Yeah. We'll see that in a later episode. Stay tuned, everybody. Would like to thank everybody for taking time to watch and listen to these episodes, and Feel free to comment, subscribe, let us know what you think. Make special requests. There's a lot of Cthulhu on the channel right now. That's just because it's easy to play a game and talk about it later on with Ray. Hopefully we're going to get to expand into more games, get back to Netrunner with some new folks, and bring Roy and Alex back. There's all sorts of games out there that are interesting to watch, like Doomtown. Or even delving into the old days, like 7th Sea, for instance, has had my attention for a while, and I came into some cards that'd be interesting, and with some starter decks.
Nice.
I
recently picked up a starter deck of Wyvern.
Why?
Because it was for sale for $2 at our local mall.
What store in the local mall had Wyvern?
The guy who has all the collectibles, the toys and
Mark Twain Hobby?
No, it's a University Mall. It's right when you walk in. It's across from IHOP now. It used to be down by the candy stores. I don't remember what it's called, but they carry old action figures, both in blister pack and out. Carries some used DVDs, comic books, and things like that. But he's also got some magic cards and other things. And there was a pack of Wyvern sitting there. $2.
All right, so we just missed an explosion, I think.
We did, actually. While we were talking about other stuff, I was half-heartedly paying attention to the screen. No, but you triggered off your Plague Stone. You played your Plague Stone, triggered off your Plague Stone, and Savio Corvi survives that because he's immune to non-day card effects, and that is a night card. Mm-hmm. And it wiped out the side of the board for Rod. All his characters, and then you played a Baleful Reveler?
Yep. Well, it's nice to get some extra skulls. And I think the Fiona misplay worked out because she didn't actually do anything before she died.
Correct.
So I'm okay with it. I feel better about that. It didn't really change the outcome.
Yes, you weren't able to use her ability because you were playing her from Dormant, and her ability only works from hand, or is it the other way around?
No, it works from Dormant.
It does work
that's
from Dormant.
considered playing it.
Gotcha.
No, that original quibble came from Twisted Acropolis.
All right, so Ultima Thule just came down or just got used, and here comes Jeremiah Kirby.
Oh, it's the Kirby game. I enjoy this because it's very engaging. Like Rod and the other player will take turns choosing which cards go into his hand or the discard or the bottom of his deck.
So I see 2 Derby Halls. His one restricted card is the one in the middle. I recognize the artwork. I can't remember the name of it, though.
The Alternative Historian's restricted.
Alternative Historian, thank you. I don't know what the 4th card up from the bottom is, and the top card looks like the guy who will jump in front of other people to save them.
That's Andrew Chapman.
Andrew Chapman, thank you.
I kind of think that 4th card is the Arcane translation.
Oh, it is. You are very right, actually. I recognize that as I was looking at that card earlier today from my own collection. Wait, no.
No?
No?
I got rid of the Historian because she's the
right.
devil in the red dress.
It's not because that's a character.
Oh, okay.
Because there's 2 skill on that card. or 2 or 3 skill on that card.
Maybe it's the student archaeologist, or
very well might be.
Yep. So he takes Andrew.
Yep.
Great for blocking.
You get rid of a Hall.
I hate Derby Hall.
He's probably going to grab the other Derby Hall at this point in time. Maybe, maybe not.
I kind of remember being surprised that he let the other Derby Hall go too.
Yep.
I think he wanted characters.
Well, after you just cleared off the board, and since Jeremiah is going to be bouncing back to the hand because of Ultima Thule.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is the ideal position for Rod, where he's bouncing Jeremiah.
Right.
Because he's just going through his deck much more rapidly. And there's no way to combat that besides either taking Jeremiah out while he's in play or taking away Ultima Thule. And as we've seen, I've used up 2 of my Thunders in the East.
Yes, what's the other card he played?
Oh, I bet you it's Brett.
It is Brett, thank you. I couldn't remember her name. He's going after the conspiracy to try to keep it from being Savio from having all his abilities running around.
Right. And I send over the Reveler.
Who now has, because it's night, extra 2 combat, is it?
Yeah, he's got 3 skulls now and a terror. But nobody's granting willpower, I believe.
This is true.
So what am I missing? What are we missing?
I'm presuming that during the... is there a terror struggle at
Yes, it's the standard 4.
It's standard 4. Then I'm guessing you guys just forgot that you had a terror struggle.
Or there's something out of sight, or we're misremembering what Brett does.
Yeah. I don't think Brett grants willpower. I'm pretty sure that's either Roland or Cookie.
Yeah, Rolled grants willpower.
Unless you guys were somehow miraculously tied on. Does his Explorer guy keep people from going insane by taking a success token too, by any chance? And
I think Andrew... I don't have Andrew handy, but I believe what he does is he prevents card effects.
Oh, that's right, he prevents card effects.
And you have to discard to do it.
That's right, he didn't do that, so I don't know.
I think I probably had a brain fart that I had terror.
Yeah. Plague Stone's back.
God, Plague Stone's always back. Every game I played with that deck, I think I had 2 to 3 Plague Stones in hand after the 4th turn.
And that's why you did so well in the tournament.
Carlo is not wrong to be unhappy with that card. And I'm just going for the spread here.
Yep, and played another Reveler. Now you guys are each at 1 story at the moment, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm. And the one thing to work around that I wasn't really working around here, I just went balls to the wall, was none of these guys are going to refresh.
This is true because you have no arcane icons.
Yeah, red cards with arcane icons would be a little excessive. Well, there are some, like Corrupt Midwife.
Corrupt Midwife, there's obviously Migo that have it, because Migo have everything.
Mm-hmm.
Interdimensional Worm.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of many more past that. Maybe in the new box set that comes out, there will be some...
Oh, certainly. Certainly the different avatars of Shub-Niggurath, or the incarnations of her.
Right.
At least one Dark Young must, because...
It just makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'm excited about the new box set, 1000 Young is the name of it, because it's Shub-Niggurath, or because it's going to be one step closer to my coveted Hastur box set.
That is a great a point of great discussion right now, is will we get a Hastur box or a Silver Twilight box?
I don't care. As long as I get a Hastur box eventually,
you will absolutely get one eventually. It's just... really...
I don't want Fantasy Flight to suddenly, implode upon itself somehow.
No.
Before I get my Hastur box set.
They're too much of a machine, and they're part of the Asmodee Empire.
This is true.
I just don't want them to roll up the line.
All right, so you triggered the stone.
Yep.
Maybe that's why you were okay with going full in, because you knew you had the stone in reverse.
Maybe.
Who cares if nothing gets straightened out?
Yeah. Playing the stone out just always feels like that is the turn, because it's 3 to play and 2 to trigger.
This is true.
And I'm sitting on 3/2/2 on the domains right now, I believe.
You are sitting at 3/2/2, yes.
Because I haven't seen a festival yet.
No, your one restricted card in your deck, the festival, and haven't seen it.
Yeah. It doesn't show up that often for some reason. I don't get it.
It's because you're always drawing Plague Stones.
Maybe. Always in the way, those Plague Stones.
If only the festival was a night card. It would be so broken.
I'll submit the errata.
Yeah. It's a festival. Festivals only are really good at night, so it should be a night card.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Nobody goes to the festival in the middle of the day.
Yeah. I do like the fact that the Miskatonic card night classes, it doesn't have to be night for it to happen, it just can't be day. Mm-hmm. Because if it's not night or day, it's twilight, so. Hey, you've upped another resource.
3/2/2.
3/3/2.
Yes, you're right.
You're using that 3.
There's the Corrupted Midwife.
Yeah, to say that's a Corrupted Midwife.
I feel like Corrupted Midwife, and I know I say this every time I play it, but I don't know if I've ever actually used her text ability to play a character out of the discard. She seems like such a great idea, but at the same time it's like, with those icons and 3 skill, I want to be committing her to stories.
Right, but I could see where she'd be useful for getting back like a Gustav or something like that to draw more cards and things like that.
I don't know if I ever thought of using her that way. I always think Gustav is just such a passing thing. He's great, but if I'm going to be paying for something out of the discard, I guess I want it to be something beefier.
I can understand that.
Which I admit, this deck has always been a little short on beef.
Hey, look, it's the Plague Stone.
Rod's like, oh, god damn it.
I'm pretty sure, actually, that if people have noticed, Tyler's almost always wearing the same sleeves on his hands down there. And I'm pretty sure he just hides the plague stone up his sleeve.
Yep.
And,
I have to wear that hoodie because it took me a long time to stitch the pocket into the sleeve.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that on every hoodie I own.
Exactly. So it's... you should keep a close eye on his hands, make sure that the plague stones aren't sliding out from underneath there.
Keep my hands on the table at all times.
That's right. All right, and you are now 2 investigation icons away from winning. One on 2 separate stories.
Yeah, I'm right, yeah.
Rod has gone to a very high 3/3/3 for a Miskatonic, mono Miskatonic deck.
He's got a couple 3-costers in there.
He does. It's 3/3/3 is surprising. Usually 3/2/1, 3.
He's gone Jeremiah.
2/2. He has gone Jeremiah.
Throw away the prodigy. I couldn't make out who he grabbed just there.
Either could I.
That's rolled at the end. I know that.
Yep. I think you might be looking at a historian. No.
I think at this point I'm just trying to shore out his ability to be drawing more cards.
Right.
Which with the Jeremiah in hand is kind of a whiff.
Yeah, but he's only getting, what, 2 cards with every Jeremiah?
Yeah, because 3 go on the bottom. I get to choose 3 to go on the bottom.
Right.
Or
well, you choose
2 and then
2 and the third
there's a
one
remainder.
goes. Yeah. Gotta love remainders.
And the funny thing with Jeremiah is you have to be careful about his timing about when you're going to use him. Because Rod will occasionally play him on the operations phase to be able to play out the characters he's just drawn. But then Jeremiah is no longer an option during the story phase because of that. Because of Ultima Thule's timing, I should say.
Right. Just want to build a reactionary deck now. Because you can use Ultima Thule on your opponent's turn, right?
Yep.
Really interesting to have very few cards in hand. Use Ultima Thule to put out Jeremiah. Get some cards that would mess with your opponent's turn.
That is an interesting idea. Because then the opponent has to be thinking about what's going to hurt. Has to be balancing what's going to work against me right now while he's got open domains.
Right.
Versus what he's going to be playing out on his turn.
A very reactionary deck. It'd be interesting.
Reactionary is hard in this game.
Reactionary is very hard in this game.
Because I think it was the Tragic on YouTube who's talked about, I don't want cards that help me catch up. I want cards that help me win in the beginning. Right.
And with Cthulhu, that's very much the mantra.
Like those the 6-cost society cards that become cheaper as the opponent is winning more stories.
Right. It's like, yay, that's great, but that's just not.
Why was this card not something that blew up one of my opponent's characters?
Exactly.
And I think they're useful if they have traits that let them be played out cheaper or temporarily.
Right.
But I think they're pretty short on that. Like followers of Ruya are cultists. I don't know if if Miskatonic's Archaeological Society counts as an explorer or not, but I feel like it really ought to.
I don't think it does. It's probably like faculty investigator.
Yeah. And here comes a cast of characters whom I cannot recognize.
Yeah.
And he's still in operations because Jeremiah is about to leave.
There goes Jeremiah.
Yep. I wish I knew who these folks were.
Is that rolled on the top?
Who?
Is that rolled on the top?
Well, I think we knew. I thought I got rid of rolled.
I thought you did too, but it didn't mean he didn't have another one in his hand.
It's true. And I don't know who that person on the left is at all. Oh, no, that's William Webb. That's the new one, William Webb.
Oh, okay, yep.
So William Webb lets you, when he would place a success token, you can put it somewhere else.
Right.
And he's still hammering away at the Guardian, trying to clear it out. But nope, just more destruction.
Safio surviving the Plague Stone is the dirtiest thing ever.
Having played this Rebirth of the Cult up to now and then through this tournament, I feel like I'm sort of obliged to find a new pet deck. Because it's fun, but there's so many new cards out there.
Here, I second this, so I don't have to play it anymore.
Duly noted. So after this batch of episodes, I promise I'll find a new list of cards.
So then I'll build my Savio Plaguestone
Right,
deck.
you build your Savio Plaguestone deck, and then I'll build the deck that prevents night cards from being played.
Yeah,
And
the day card deck.
and somehow blank Savio.
You don't need the blank Savio. You just need to play a bunch of day cards.
Yep.
You can play one of your other decks that drops Hermetic Seals on me.
So I've just foully inducted a bunch of cultists, and that's finished the game.
Yep.
And that's how it goes. This is one game from the Black Moon Games tournament in April. Thanks everybody for watching. You should subscribe to Decked on YouTube. You can go to youtube.com/deckedshow to see more episodes of Call of Cthulhu, Netrunner, and more. You know, subscribe, leave a comment, let us know what you think. Thanks for watching. Ray, thanks for commenting along.
Hey, no problem. Remember, folks, subscribe.